Hi Sonia.
Hi, how are
Hey,
you?
good. How are
Nice
you?
to see you. Very fine, and you?
Yeah, very good as well. Sonia, I was just telling everyone that last time we spoke was on April 10th.
Yeah,
So it's almost a year, and a lot has happened. A lot good, a lot bad.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately.
but I'm really happy that you are here,
Me
and
too.
so nice to see you.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to talk about
My pleasure.
Elaka and about our new trilogy. So
Yes. How has last year been for you, Sonia? I mean, between LAK, Givaudan, all the creations that have come out, Ombre Leather came out,
yeah,
then
the
the
new
leather.
Ombre Leather Parfum. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm continuing to work both on my clients, also on Narciso Rodriguez, on many brands, and continue with Elake, of course, in parallel. So it's still a busy. I had a busy year,
right,
and yeah,
right, but a good one,
it was
hopefully.
a very good one, very exciting.
Yeah,
This new trilogy, because as you know, leather is something that I like very much to work as a perfumer.
yeah,
Because I like to work leather in a way very subtle, very mellow, very tan. So I like to work the weather in an elegant way. Not
yeah. But
strong,
Sonia,
but
I
not.
always, yeah, absolutely. When I first smelled Tuscan leather, for example, that's for me like my introduction to leather, and I realized it was difficult to me. For me,
Mhm.
I liked ombre leather much better
That's
than
good.
Tuscan because that association of the car seat, or
Mhm.
I love leather and I love the
Yeah.
smell of leather,
Mhm.
but I don't find it as a fragrance
Mhm.
if it makes sense. You know what I mean?
You're right, because leather is something strong, so it's you have to work it with flower notes, with musk and some woods, and to faceted it to make it a bit tan, like like a kind of old leather, something not too strong. So, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah, but I think so. How is it in general, Sonia, to work with leather? Because, like I mentioned, that association of it. So, all the three fragrances I have with me, and there is this floral and fruitiness
Mm-hmm.
that is somehow also very common in
Mm-hmm.
all the Alake fragrances. So, you realize that elegance.
Mm-hmm.
But how was it working with leather in general?
Yeah, so for the trilogy, I work leather in a three different way, because on Harmattan, I work with more aromatic notes, such like geranium and
Hmm.
cedar needles, and I really work it in contrast,
Hmm.
because the Harmattan is a cold wind that blows from north of Africa. It's blowing during winter and spring. And so here I wanted to translate these two portraits, the warm and the cold of the Harmattan. So when you
Hmm.
use the fragrance, you can really have this duality between the freshness of the geranium leaves, the cedar needles, and
Hmm.
the very warm mystery of the leather, which gives a lot of mystery to the fragrance
Right.
in the bottom. And so for Ghibli, it was more sweet. Yeah, because there is the nougat, so there is kind of honey, almonds note. And in Kamshin, it's a bit more leather and
Hmm.
with orange flower and date. So yeah, it's three interpretation of leather. We have jasmine, sambac jasmine in Ghibli as well. So yes,
Hmm.
I wanted to portray three winds. So because each wind is blowing in a different part of Africa,
Hmm.
so each
Hmm.
wind tells a different story and carry with him different odors depending
Right.
where it's blowing. And some carries the sun, such like
Right.
Kamshin, which is a wind which carries with it a lot of sand. So yeah, it's three interpretation of leather and
Yeah,
wind.
that's really. But did you ever think, Sonia, that I don't know, it will be compared to ombre leather, or because you have had like now four leathers in last year, right?
Yeah,
So a lot of leather work. So I
yeah,
mean, I think they are completely different fragrances, but still,
they
did you
are.
think
They are
because it has such a cult following,
of course.
ombre leather?
You know, when I work for designers such like Tom Ford, I work in a very different way. And when I work leather, because also in Musc Noir from Narciso Rodriguez, there is also leather, but it's very musky because it's the DNA of Narciso Rodriguez. As a perfumer, when I'm working for a designer, I always try to work into the DNA of the designer. So I try to find I'm at the service of the designer when I work for other brands, and when I work for my brand, I'm completely free in my way to work with leather. So of course it's super different, and yes, it's finally you say it's more than there is GHIBLI KHAMSIN, Harmattan, the Musc Noir, which is a leather as well, the Musc Noir Rose from Narciso Rodriguez, Ombre Leather Parfum, and there is also it's Mélodie de l'Altaï in Elake, which was also a leather, but this time the leather was combined with whiskey. So it's lots of leather, and also I did a moonlight patchouli for Van Cleef & Arpels, and here it was
that I haven't
also
tried.
a leather, but it was more a suede kind of leather, like you know, the woman bag with when she have with her the lipstick, and it's a kind of leather with more iris. So very different kind of leather, depending the brands I'm working for.
Yeah, lot of leather. That's amazing. So now, you know what I was wondering. So this idea of because I think Khamsin also means warm wind in my language in Hindi. So where did the idea come from? Because this desert theme, that itself is not new, right? There are a lot of fragrances that, let's say, make it smell like desert, so to say. But this desert wind, it sounded like a very great idea because of this kind of an olfactive memory that can come, or wind is very powerful, right? That spices can come in a desert, or so. Where did the idea come from? I find it very interesting.
Actually, it comes from an old an old journey, because as you know, with the COVID situation, I was not. I tried not to travel too much. I follow the rules, so it's about a travel in Siwa. It's an oasis in Egypt, and there is the desert, and we stayed in an ecolodge called Adrere Melal. It's a super beautiful ecolodge, completely in the middle of the desert. It is built only with sand and salt from the desert, and all the furniture, the bed, the tables, anything is made with this sand from the desert. Also, the hotel is completely made with only sun, so it's absolutely amazing. And there is no light. No, you have the light from the candles, and there is no heater. And so they bring you a like of hot water bottle, you know, I don't know, you put in the bed to be warm.
I see.
And all the food is organic. And in this Adrere Melal Ecology, there is a palm, and we had breakfast there, and they cook the date in a very special way. And so the date of Siwa is quite well known. And so it was more in reminiscence of this breakfast in the palm towards Siwa, was it that comes from the idea of Khamsin. And Khamsin, the idea was also when you go to the desert, this slow odyssey, you know, you this impression to have the sun in your eyes, and the sensation of the mirages. So it's also so you can feel the texture of the sun. Try to make it real. And so this is
wow, that's cool. I mean, Khamsin, for example, is, in my opinion, the most leathery of the three fragrances.
It is the most
leathery, like, because other ones, let's say, they are gourmand direction, floral direction, aromatic direction, but when you smell Khamsin, that's when you realize, wow, this is a leather fragrance, so to say. It's really, really beautiful.
The leather is coming more from the direct top in Khamsin, when it's coming more a bit later in Harmattan and in GHIBLI as well. Ghibli is
Yeah.
coming with the nougat together. It's really nougat leather. Yeah, it was not.
Yeah.
It hasn't been done something sweet with the leather. It was the association didn't exist, so I find it interesting.
Yeah, but it's a really beautiful, beautiful story because, you know, for me, it's always fascinating. Where do these ideas come from, especially with you or perfumers like you who do a lot of work, right? Like you always look for inspiration, and when an inspiration comes from such a everyday, you know, like you go on a travel, you go have breakfast, and you know
Exactly.
the environment, the moment it just hits you and says, hey, it could be a great.
Correct.
Somehow
the inspiration can come from nowhere and at any time, and you just have to be available for it. And I say that because I think as a creator, it's very important to create the space for this inspiration when it's coming, because sometimes it's coming without, you don't know when. And sometimes it happens, I'm talking with people and then the inspiration is coming and then I don't listen anymore to what I'm saying because I know the inspiration is coming and I say, oh my God, it's going to disappear if I don't write or if I don't concentrate myself right now. It's going to leave like a dream, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you know you had
you don't remember
a great dream or bad dream, I don't know, and you try to remember, and the more the morning pass and the less you memorize what you had in the dream. For me, the inspiration is like this. So when it comes, it's like, I know it's good. I have to, even if I don't do it right now, because I'm not on my formula, but I need to write the idea. And sometimes a bit rude because say, oh, wait a second. It's same with pictures. Sometimes I stop somebody talking. Oh, stop! I take a picture. Yeah, I'm like, I love the suspended moment. I love when the inspiration is coming. Yeah. I'm spiritual, you know. I love when it's coming from nowhere, and I believe sometimes it's not really me. It's something that is coming, and just my hand, and I'm writing something that gifted I received from. I don't know, but this is.
And I think that's the beautiful part of having your own brand, right? Like, if there is a inspiration that comes, you know, you can try to make sure that you do something around it rather than waiting for someone to, you know, somehow come up with that. So I think that's really beautiful.
Is what I like, yes, because when the inspiration is coming, like I talk about the Adré Ramelal, and there is for each fragrance a different story. It's a true story. It's something very authentic, and so as it's my brand, I can talk about the true origin of the inspiration, because sometimes you can give the true inspiration, but sometimes you have to fit with the marketing, and so you have sometimes move, or sometimes the brand can also give you what you have to say. So this is what I like, is just to be authentic in the inspiration from the beginning to the end, and that all the fragrance is telling the same story. So what is in the bottle, the name, and also the little drawing. If you look at Khamsin, you see that this is about the wind. The Khamsin is the name of the wind. And so it's very logical. It's very sincere. And that's what I like.
Yeah. And I can just say, because we're talking about imagery, that everyone should visit LIK website. Not right now, but after the live is over, because I come from branding, so I love clean websites that, you know, that are consistent. You know, you smell the fragrance, you go on the website, it just connects everything. And I really love how you've done the website. It's super, clean, and it gives you can almost smell it, you know, in a way. There is this desert, and, you know, it's really beautiful. So just a side note, because it came in my mind that I was looking at the website. Sonia, let's take some questions from the audience. It's okay. Oh, there are difficult questions, I have to say. Felice asks, hi, Sonia, I recognize the kind of wonderful fruity part in Harmattan. Is my nose playing trick on me? Or are they fruity? aspects on it.
Yeah, it's maybe. Yes, there is other notes. There is green, fruity, maybe some green notes that can give some fruity effects. Yeah, there is other things. I'm just talking about the three main ingredients to make it simple. But of course, the fragrance is a bit more elaborate and more faceted. And yeah, it's maybe fruity not to appeal. There is also like a kind of raspberry as well.
Yeah, okay.
But in all the three fragrances.
To me, it's more citrus than fruity.
Yeah, it's more citrus.
To me, it's bitter.
You have bergamot, you have mandarin. Yes, maybe the citrus note is coming from the mandarin.
All right. So thanks, Phyllis, for asking. Oh, I have wanted to ask this question, Sonia, because the bottles are new, right? Or is there like the older ones were smaller?
No, it's 100 ml because before we did the 70 ml and we had requests, people want more, 100 ml, they want more. So we did the 100 ml and so now the whole collection is coming with 100 ml. So let's change a little bit. Also, we have reduced the paper, maybe the quantity of paper to be more ecologic, more eco-friendly. And so less paper because finally people are throwing the paper, so it's better for the planet.
Yeah.
And all the memory anyway in the fragrance. Yeah.
That's really heavy. And I almost thought that if you drop it on your leg, you can really break it. Yeah. It's quite a heavy bottle. So that's answered, Perfumaholic. Let's see what else. A lot of questions about your favorite LK fragrances. Yeah. You'll have to name one, Sonia. So what is your most favorite LK creation and why?
What is my favorite is always the one I'm creating right now. So it's one which is not yet on the market. And unfortunately, I can't say anything about it. But this is the one I'm wearing now. It's something super different from what we have in the line.
Wow.
Completely different. And so I can't say, but it's my favorite. Then it's difficult because it's my babies. It's really all my babies. It's like the question to choose between your kids, which one you prefer.
Yes, absolutely.
This fragrance is talking about one moment in my life. And but yes, I think I'm wearing a lot the GHIBLI. GHIBLI becomes my fragrance.
GHIBLI is it's one of my favorite.
It's super addictive and super. They are all gender fluid and many men also wear GHIBLI, but I find it feminine on me. I find it super feminine and sensual and addictive. So yes, for the moment it's GHIBLI.
Yeah, no, actually, if I had to choose a favorite from the three, it will be GHIBLI as well. Even though if someone watching shies away from jasmine, for example, I think you have done such a great job in making it as unisex as a jasmine can be.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's really an amazing. It's really my favorite. I could not believe that I was smelling somehow like a leather fragrance. But it had gourmand touches in it. It had, it's really, really, really amazing. I mean,
thank you.
floral.
I also love Cri du Kalahari. For me, it's something.
Which one?
The fragrance Cri du Kalahari, and we received.
Okay, that's my favorite as well from the old one. Yes.
An old one, yes, and we received a prize from Marie Claire as the best fragrance of the year. So it was really something. I receive many prizes every year for many of my fragrances for my clients. So to receive also a prize for Ella Care was very, very super happy. And Marie Claire is a very special prize and a very beautiful one because it's really the consumer who chooses.
Actually, I think we have a similar taste then because I think I like the Lettre de Pushkar
as well, yes.
And Cru de Kalahari from the old one and from the new one. So for Eric, who's asking, at least GHIBLI would be, let's say, the one I would
from the street? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I am torn between the other two, but I think Harmattan is my second favorite because, like I said, because Khamsin has a stronger leather note, I shy away from it a
Yeah.
little bit, you know? Yeah, like it's just a little bit, tad a bit too strong on leather.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah,
to me, but it's beautiful for leather lovers. So for me, I'm always looking for something new. And when I smelled Ghibli, I was completely, I have it on me, and it's
yeah,
changing so much now.
yeah.
It's like now full on gourmand floral.
Yeah.
Started off, it's really crazy.
Exactly.
We will talk about that. Amazing. Let's see what else do we have. Oh, Lydia asks, she's a big fan, first of all. Much love from Croatia. Intrigued about musk as a sensual note. Do you still love it? Of course, you love it.
Of
We
course,
talked
I
about it.
love, I absolutely love musk. And you know, I create almost all the line for Narciso for her line with pure musc, musc noir rose. So all are around musk, and I really have something around the musk. Also, it's strange the story because when I arrived at Givaudan, so I was at Izipcar and I did my sandwich course. And my subject for Izipcar that Givaudan gave me was to replace the muscacetone in l'air du temps, which is a musk which was forbidden. So I have to replace it. And it was a very technical work, and nobody from the technical perfumery success in it. And when I arrived, so I did a big study around musk, and it was very olfactive but also scientific. So it was really a huge work. And I think since that time, I'm super expert in musk because we have many musk in the perfumery palette, from woody notes, musk woody. So some are more fruity, like raspberry, blackberry. Some are more clean musk, like we have in pure musk. Some are more animal, like we have in musc noir. Some are more floral. So you have many different. Some musk are more bottom note. Some other musk are top notes, such like the moxalone, which is a musk Givaudan, which is a bit woody, a bit like a cashmere. And so, yeah, I think I have something, and I smell them very well. Some people in the population don't smell it, unfortunately, because it's really beautiful ingredients. And I know some people don't smell it. It's easy to see that because it's like a hole in the fragrance. When you don't smell the musk, you cannot understand the fragrance with musk, such like a Narciso line, for example. Yeah. And, so we have a musk, a lot of musk in Mémoire de Daizenin for Elaké. It's a large quantity. In Baiser de Florence also was lots of quantity of musk. In Lettres de Fouchgar is quite musky as well.
Yeah, in the dry down, definitely.
And yes, it's something I want to have more on the line.
Yes, no, my wife wears a lot of Narciso Rodriguez. As many fragrances I have, she just reaches out. So basically, your creations for Narciso, she has like all the collection.
Yeah.
Of it, so.
The problem with musk is it's a bottom note and it's not very strong. So for me, it's something you have to wear a musky fragrance. You have ready to wear on skin. And not compare with other fragrances which are very strong, because so that you don't smell the musky fragrance. So that's I think it's the reason why some musky fragrance don't work, because it's difficult to make it blow, to make it elevated. And it's very technical work. So musky ingredients or musky fragrance are a bit risky for somebody to launch a fragrance. It's not the easy way. It's easier to do an oriental or something very, because it's going to be strong and to reach the consumer, or fruity notes, because so musky is a very more technical family to work.
True, but I think it's Narciso Rodriguez's kind of DNA. I think he likes this musky style, and I think
exactly. And we have together the same vision of the woman. So this is always so lovely to talk with Narciso Rodriguez as a person, because we really share the same vision in the creation, and also about the woman vision. So it's great when you have this connection with a designer, an artist for who you're working on, you know, because it's not all the brand, you know. Very often for the brand, you have somebody at the marketing who is developing the fragrance, and you don't have access to the direct designer, which is very inspiring for a perfumer to work directly with the designer. It's working artist to artist, you know. It's not marketing in the middle who is driving the development of the fragrance.
Yeah, but that's true. But I think, yeah, but in your case, for example, in Laque, you can directly explain it to the audience.
Client, yeah, I'm alone. So
yeah,
I've never, no, yeah. Sometimes to be alone can be also difficulties because I have evaluator, and of course I smell with my team. I'm not alone to choose the new launch. I have no large team to work for Laque. But it's yes. So, but I have the freedom. This is what I wanted to create fragrance from A to Z myself, with to keep the intensity of the original accord, of the original inspiration, and not too much faceted the fragrance. Because at the end, if it's too much work, too much faceted, you don't smell anymore the origin of the accord, you know, of what you wanted to say. It's like an orchestra. If you have too many people who are talking together, you don't hear anything. It's exactly the same. Sometimes between the niche and the more let's say mass fragrance, is it's good to know when to stop.
Yeah, and I think that's really the art, right? That you don't disrespect or dilute the main note that should shine.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's true. But you know, Sonia, what I was wondering, I talked about those fragrances that are in the market that, let's say, remind you of a desert. And when you look at them, they are like coriander, cumin, vetiver, frankincense, geranium, you know. To make it smell like desert or spices. They're quite complex. I mean, at least I looked at 5 fragrances that I have, and they were and the note breakdown, and they were quite complex. And then I looked at the 3, and I mean, of course, they are much more complex than the 3 notes that you mentioned, but still, I think what I loved about them is the simplicity. So how do you kind of, you know, create that vibe, but also kind of magnifying, you know, that main note, or at least the 2-3 notes that you magnify?
So it's for GHIBLI, for example, I really work on the ephemeral flurry. I had this in mind because GHIBLI is a very hot and violent wind which blow in the Sahara and in Libya, and I had in mind this ephemeral flurry. So I was thinking, and also I had in mind the sun, because it's the wind is sucking up the grain of sun. So I had in mind the texture. So I think how to give the texture. So it's something solid. So I need to play with solid ingredients, because to have this solidity in smell, you need to work with ingredients which are really solid in real.
I know what you mean.
So this is why I start with pistachios, with the almond, but it's more roasted almond and roasted pistachios, because also I had in mind this grain of sun which is burnt by the sun. So I wanted to translate the burnt feeling of the sun. And then I had some honey because of the color, of the desert. I wanted to stay in the color. So for me, it's the honey color here that I had in mind. And the jasmine, because this is a jasmine from Egypt, which was near. And yeah, I don't know if I have a question.
Yeah, it's really, GHIBLI it's super surprising. I sprayed it on, and this floral, it's nothing that you expect. If you think you say that it's a leather collection and you expect a full-on leather, and then you spray it on, and it's this very opulent jasmine, but with a lot of, it's almost like a Turkish
Yep.
sweet.
Yes,
Turkish
exactly.
delight.
I had this in mind, exactly. The Turkish sweets, yeah.
Is the pistachio?
Yeah.
It's
Lebanese food as well. Because
but there is,
this is
but there is a leather behind it. Like you don't get it in the beginning. It's you get a lot of jasmine and the sweet notes, but then there is a darkness behind it.
Yeah. So the leather is coming behind. It gives a texture. I can smell it from the top, but yes, it gives a density. It's also going to give to mingles with delicately with the skin, and it makes the sweet notes very sophisticated. It brings sophistication to the sweet notes here.
On the skin, it's almost 1 hour old now, and you smell the sweetness much more now. Here, the jasmine is louder, but on the skin, it's just really this woody sweet. Wow, I really enjoy Ghibli.
I love the name as well, Ghibli. You know, look at the name. The inspiration from this trilogy was also the film. I don't know if you know the English Patient, and this specific scene in the desert when the actor Ralph Fiennes, they break down in the desert, and he's with the actress Christine Scott Thomas, and they are in a car. They break down, and there is a sandstorm which is coming, and they are completely locked in the car. The sun is coming, start to cover the car, and he tried to seduce her by telling her the story about the wind. So here there is a very specific scene, and we see it in Elaka, and where he said to her all the story about the wind. He explained to her that finally all the wind are coming from the same place that is generated by the heat of the Sahara, and it's blowing from the north of Africa to the Arabian Peninsula. But that man gives different name for each wind depending where it comes from and its path.
Okay.
Because actually it's more or less the same wind. And then he starts to say, there is the Ghibli, there is the Harmattan, there is the Khamsin. And he talk about the three names we choose. And it's really this specific scene, which is super beautiful. So I love this.
Yeah, that's true. Because, I mean, that's a really beautiful story because, you know, to be honest, when I looked at the packaging and the name Ghibli, I actually thought they had something to do with the anime, with the Japanese movie thing. And they also have the same
there is a
drawing.
Yes.
The Ghibli Studios.
A car, no? Or there is a car called Ghibli. I think
there's a car. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there is a movie. There are a series of movies. There is a studio. It's called Ghibli Studios,
yes,
and they have the same.
Studio. Correct. But it has nothing to do with it. It's really more referring to the film as the English Passion.
Yes.
And it's the name of the winner.
Yeah. That's really amazing. Ghibli again, my favorite. If you want to try a different take on leather and in a gourmand way. So let me take another question, Sonia. Okay, so a little bit different. Which other perfumers you have worked with, and which collaborative experience was your favorite?
Which other perfumers? And which collaborative? I love to work with Louise Turner. She asked her to join me on the fragrance of Angel Nova, and I work on. I also asked her to join me on Belle from Nina Ricci. What else we did together? Yeah. I also work with Quentin Biche on La Belle and Beau. I work with Olivier Pecheux in the past. I work with other. There is many fragrance. Sometimes you have many perfumer, but not all the names are mentioned. So,
right.
Due to marketing. I can't tell, but some other fragrances which are on the market, but I haven't signed them. Others have signed. So, yeah.
Yeah. But Sonia, one question because this came in my mind because usually you rarely see collaborate, at least in my experience, I've rarely seen fragrances done by two, three, four perfumers. So I always wondered, like, is it something that you enjoy? Like, or do you look forward to working with other perfumers, regardless of who he or she is? Or is it something that, hey, it's my thing, let me do it alone? You know, like, I don't know. Is it, you know, how is it?
There is when it's a very good, yeah, with some perfumer like Louise, we also did the I Want You. I asked her to join me as well. I'm not fan to create fragrance at 4. I think 3 is really the maximum.
Right.
But I did on 7. We were 7, but my name is not mentioned. But really, for me, when you create at 3 or 4, it's not really more your creation, I have to say. It's difficult to appropriate something, but it's good. It's collaborative work, and it's super nice too. And clients love this because they have the impression to have the best of the company because they have all the talent all together. And it's true that, of course, when you work with other perfumers, each perfumer is given his own experience. So it's really beautiful when there is a good match between the perfumer or if you... yeah, so it can be good. I think it's important. It's not imposed,
yeah,
but that you are free to accept or not the collaboration.
Right.
But that's why also and it's more and more the case to have so many. I have such a relationship with the people I'm working on, so I work in collaboration for some, but I still work alone because simply my clients want to work with me only. Like Narciso Rodriguez, it doesn't want to work with others; it's with me. So, and also with all the fragrance I've already created on the market. Now you know I have the parfum version, the EDP, EDT version, the fresh one, the eau fresh one, and you have many versions of your own creation you have to do. So in general, this one you do it alone, or if you are in collaborative work, you can do it both. Or maybe sometimes we choose, you do this one and I do this one, but we sign together because it's the first one was a collaborative work. So yeah, it's good in certain case, and I think, for example, for when you have to test in the US, have a collaborative work with a US perfumer can make sense because you need to have very good result in the US. But it's good when you're a junior perfumer because maybe you don't know how to create a fragrance for US. When you are, I'm 43 years old, and so I know also how to. The I Want You is one of the best sellers, is in the top 10, I think, in the US. And so, yeah, at a certain level, you don't really need to do collaboration. But sometimes it's nice for the company like it and the clients like it. So.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think that the cultural aspect is great, or rather the geographical aspect. If you want to be, let's say, I don't know, bigger in Middle East or something like that, you kind of choose someone who's living there and who understands the market. But is that something, is that a demand from a client that, oh, Sonia does musk the best, or, you know, really good? So Sonia does the musk part of a fragrance, and I don't know, Olivier Pesch does aromatics well, so he does the aromatic part. So is that the demand of the client?
For example, you mentioned musk. Yes, very recently, a client, another one than Narciso Rodriguez, asked me to create a musk fragrance because they know I'm doing it well. So they wanted me to do it. So yeah, I can be brief alone on this.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if there's something else. Oh, okay. So it's not about LAK, but the Champagne Accord. So Sebastian is one friend of mine.
I create the bestseller of Liquides Imaginaires.
Is it?
Dom Rosa after Fortis, and also one of the bestseller. And yes, the champagne, it's Dom Rosa. It's pink champagne. Actually, I did. You know how much I love headspace technology. So I did a
Yes.
headspace technology on a champagne, and a pink one, and I really recreate the smell of champagne, and I mix it with rose and yeah, musk. I love it, and so
That's really
the idea behind the Rosa.
it's really amazing. I would like to take credit, by the way, to introduce Dom Rosa to Sebastian, you know, and then he loved it so much 1 week ago, and he was like, "Hey, I need to get a bottle," and we have to ask Sonia how she did the champagne account. So that's really amazing. Yeah, also one of my favorite from and Sancti is it called, right?
Sancti. Sancti was a reminiscence. I was. Nobody knows this name, but Thierry Ferrer, when I was a little girl, Thierry Ferrer is the one in the church who gives the incense. And I absolutely love the smell of the incense when it is burning, you know. And when I arrived in perfumery and discovered the olibanum oil, I was super disappeared. I said, but no, it's not that what I used to smell in the church, the olibanum when it's the smoke. And so for this one, I wanted to create really the smoke effect.
Yeah.
But it was reminiscent of my childhood going to
the true. But, you know, I'm really sad, like, you know, because Sancti doesn't get as much love as it deserves. Like, you barely hear about Sancti. I think it's amazing. And it's a very different incense. To me, it smells like turmeric, if it makes sense. As a turmeric kind of a vibe, which I find very addictive.
Yeah.
But nevertheless. So now let's talk maybe a little bit more about Harmattan, because we didn't talk more about this. So we spoke about GHIBLI.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, my favorite from the brand. So anyone who's watching who wants to try. And then Harmattan is more aromatic part of leather, right?
Yes, the Harmattan, I wanted to portray the boundless desert and the alternative shade and light when you look at the dune, the undulating dune, and you see the shade and the light. So I really wanted to portray this cold and warm effect, this duality of the Harmattan, and also because the Harmattan is blowing in winter and in spring. It's a westerly wind. It's blowing in West Africa. And so this is the reason why this one is much fresher than the other one.
Yeah.
Because Harmattan is
very aromatic.
The cold wind. It can be warm and cold, but it's not as warm as the GHIBLI, which is like very burning wind, and or Khamsin, which carry a great quantity of suns. Harmattan is fresher. You have the idea of the shade and so to portray the shade of the undulating dune, I use the geranium leaves and the Texas.
And I find also leather the most gentle leather in this. Like leather is really in the back seat here. It's more the aromatic citrus,
in the top,
pine, almost pine-like vibe. Like to me, this doesn't smell like a desert, more like an oasis, if it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you have water.
This is the fresh interpretation. Yeah, exactly. You're completely right. But the leather here is here to give the intensity, to give the mystery to the fragrance, the intensity.
Yeah.
Like on the piano, it's le grave. I don't know in English. The grave and the l'aigu. Even if you don't smell it, you can feel it as something loud from the back. And on skin, it's really smell leather. It's leather and the aromatics.
Maybe Sonia can talk about geranium a little bit. Like, I don't know if I've smelled geranium as a note.
Geranium is the leaves we use. So it's not the flower.
Green.
And the leaves, this is that gives this minty effect. It's fresh, a bit minty, leafy. In the geranium leaves, there is some ingredients such like menthol. It gives like... it also, for me, it gives the impression of a shiso leaves. Shiso, you know, have also this kind minty, or like the tomato leaves, the leaves of the
Ah,
cherry tomatoes. It gives this. You see the smell of this. It's which yes, the impression I wanted to give. And yeah, it's woody.
but
You have also vetiver as well. There is patchouli and a lots of quantity of ambroxan, because for me, ambroxan, ambrofix, it gives the sandy texture. It really gives.
yeah.
I also use it in Mémoire de Daishonin, and if you remember, Daishonin was a garden in Japan. We call it the carré sans fruit. It's a garden which are only made with stone, woods, and leaves. There is no flower, and I wanted to translate the minerality. Ambrofix is, if you go to the Givaudan lab, you will see it's like flakes, like corn flakes,
Okay.
white, and so it's solid. So it gives this solid, the grain of the sun. But here it's a more shade sun. It's not a hot sun. It's not a burnt sun from the wind. Here it's more the one in the shade and even a bit, on the oasis. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, like, because you mentioned tomato leaf, to me it's not green. It is green, but like tomato leaves is like really green, but it's a very good mixture. There is an aquatic, almost airy, aromatic part, and then there is this green part, but it's not like super green. It's more rather citrus to me.
Yeah,
more
it's
sunlight.
You have cedra, you have mandarin, yeah. And then the leather and suede. You have both.
But like at least on the paper, it doesn't come right now. Like there is in the background a little bit maybe, but I have to wear it on the skin. It's the only fragrance I haven't tried it on the skin. Very nice. I find it like a very, I mean, it's quite unisex, but also a little bit maybe more gentlemanly.
Yeah, correct.
On a suit, I don't know, very high class.
Exactly. It's a bit more masculine, but I'm always very surprised because when you don't put a gender, many people, I show it, was in Amsterdam very recently, and many journalists say, oh, I love it, this one. I say, but she said for her to wear. And for me also, I'm like you, because I'm a connoisseur, and for me it's more masculine because the aromatic are more masculine. But it's more and more gender fluidity that women are going to jump to men's classical kind of fragrance, and men are going to, and Ghibli also for me is a bit more feminine, but lots of men are wearing it as well. And we know that, for example, there is many studies that say that a Sauvage de Dior, for example, which is, we could say, very masculine fragrance, it's also very wear by women. Same for Bleu Chanel in China, for example. And the Chansotan, which is very normally feminine fragrance, is very much wear by men in China. So there is really more and more, but I think it's completely, anyway, the perfumery always have the portray the societal environment. And as there is more and more gender fluidity, the women are wearing men's clothes, and the men are not afraid anymore to express their femininity. And this you can find it into fragrances. And even more.
Yeah, true. And I think, I mean, the more I smell it, I think it's the Ambroxan, that gives you this feel of masculinity, so to say. But like you mentioned, with Sauvage is a great example. It's an Ambroxan bomb, and I personally just feel, I don't know if it's masculine, so to say, but it's more, let's say, a warm weather. I will do also good with cold, but I see it's more everyday wear. It's not like a special.
It's not an evening.
You could wear it easy.
You can wear an evening, but as it's fresh, you also you can wear more in the day as well. Ghibli is a bit more evening.
Yeah, Ghibli is this kind of and I mean, talking about Ghibli, right? It's a lot of people who would shy away from jasmine. Looking at a note jasmine, like it's like I mentioned in the beginning, if you were not watching, it's really very unisex take on jasmine and leather. I haven't smelled anything like that in a long while with chocolate. Was it chocolate or cacao? There is a little bit bitterness.
It's more honey, actually. I saw you put chocolate. There is no chocolate, there is no cacao in it. I think which gives you this feeling. There is some vanilla, and with nuts, there is some caffeine as well. And maybe the honey, you know, in the honey, there is a nut which is common with the cacao absolute, natural one. You have also this honey feeling at the back of the cacao. So I think, but I didn't put any cacao in it.
No, but for me it was Turkish delight. For me it was Turkish delight, like I mentioned.
Yes,
to me it was no pistachio.
I had this in mind. I had this in mind, yes.
Really, amazing. And then the last one we said was Khamsin, which was more, let's say, leathery. So I really loved how there is something for everyone. There is gourmand leather, then there is aromatic leather, so to say, or aromatic. And then you have Khamsin, which has leather really in the front. But was it, it says date. Is it really date? Because I actually thought there was some date kind of aspects in Khamsin.
Yeah.
Because of this sweetness.
Yeah.
Sorry, GHIBLI.
It's coming from date. Here, but yeah. Here you also have the orange blossom, and it's very leather. I really had in mind the leather that you can smell from the Moroccan tannery. You know that you can smell above the Cairo and this smell of leather. So yes, you have this from the top. Yeah.
It's really for leather lovers, I think. So, I mean, it's great. So, you know, 3 fragrances. So do we see in future more collections? Because I think in the last line, there were no triologies. So are you thinking more into this kind of group of 3?
We did last, so not before this one, because this one, it was Rose de Pushkar, which is...
Okay, so that was a collection as well?
Sorry? No, this one, there is a little of leather as well, but it's very musky actually. This one I launched it during the COVID. It was a second reading of Pushkar, the little village in Rajasthan, and it's more rose. But before this, we did the African duo, which was Cri du Kalahari, we were talking about previously, but also the Reflet sur le Cavango, which is here. And so it's...
I haven't tried this, I think.
You don't have? You don't know?
I haven't tried this one. Is it the new one, Sonia?
No, we launched it 3 years ago. It was before COVID. It was a trip we did in Botswana. We stay on the, you know, the Okavango is a river, like a hand. It's a kind of, and the river is going to the desert. It never ends to the sea. And the animal come to drink, and the Okavango to go to our lodge. There is a reflection of an acacia in the water, so it's around the acacia. And the Cri du Kalahari was a night in the Kalahari desert in Botswana, Africa, and the whole night we were sleeping in a sleeping bag and looking at the
you told me.
Beautiful. So this is, but it was a duo. It came together, so it was not a trilogy, but it was a duo. So yes, it depends. And the next one, I don't know yet if it's going to be a duo or a single one. We haven't decided yet. But yes, you like the trilogy format?
This one?
You like to have a trilogy, to have a...
Yeah, I think if it's done like this, where you have really like, you know, different fragrances. I don't like trilogies where, you know, there are some brands who like come up with 2 fragrances or 3 fragrances. I mean, there has to be, let's say in here, leather is a common thing, but then, you know, I can differentiate between them. You know what I mean? So I know that, you know, GHIBLI is really gourmand. I can wear it in the evening. Then Harmattan is, you know, so I like the fact that, you know, you have different fragrances. And but I think it's also, you know, you have to be ready with them. I mean, launching 3 fragrances at a time. You know, I think it takes time and like, I think
we also did it because it was after COVID. So It was a bit slow during the COVID situation. We launched the Rose de Pushkar, but so yeah, it was good to arrive with something strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just launched, Sonia. So when is the next one? Like I was expecting to see you at Pitti. I don't know. I mean, I didn't message you. I should have. But are you planning on coming to
Munich? I'm going for sure. I'm going to travel again, and so I started in Amsterdam 2 weeks ago. So yes, we'll certainly come to Germany. So I don't know if it's Munich or another place. I don't know, but of course, if I come to Munich,
we are planning a trip to Paris end of the month.
Yeah.
So
okay, tell me.
I haven't been to Paris.
You can to visit my office if you like.
Yeah, I mean, if we will plan it definitely. I mean, it would be great. Sonia, maybe so for people who are watching, so are there sample sets available for the new collection on the website?
All right. Not on the website. It's more on shop. We are working on this. I know samples. Many people request it, but yeah, we have to. We will do. We are working on it.
Yeah, but I think the online retailers where the brand is available, there are samples available there, and it comes like this. So I mean, please feel free to try them and let me and Sonia know the feedback. I'm really in love with them, and I really can't wait to hear what you think. Sonia, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Like always, always such a pleasure to be talking to you. And I really can't wait to hear what community thinks about them. And I'm also excited for the new fragrance that you're working on.
Yeah.
And
I will let you know.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sonia.
Thank you. Bye-bye. It was very nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.